Well, everybody, I just got done watching Ultima Lucha Trace Part 2, so I definitely want to talk about that, but also included in this video will be some brief talk about the Mae Young Classic. I finally watched it. And a preview for WWE Hell in a Cell 2017, a pay-per-view that is apparently happening this Sunday. So soon after the last one, it's like, god damn, you do too many of these shows. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, attendance for Raw and SmackDown and all these other shows are down because you've oversaturated yourselves? You do too many of these goddamn shows to the point where fans can't keep up with it, and attending one just isn't special because there's too many of them. The Holy Grail, to go back to ancient lore and myth and even Indiana Jones, the Holy Grail is special largely because there's only one of them. If Jesus Christ made 1,000,000 cups of Christ, it wouldn't be as special. I'm just saying. Less is more. Just less is more. But anyway, so there's a bizarre comparison for you. But anyway, I'm getting way ahead of myself here. So yeah, Ultima Lucha Trace Part 2, I definitely want to talk about that. Oh, also included in this video will be my top 10 matches for September 2017. So with all of that, let's see if I can get this done in under 45. I'm not hopeful because I tend to babble, but let's try anyway. So Ultima Lucha Trace Part 2. I loved Part 1 last week. I thought the Hell of War match was amazing. This week followed it up with a Battle Royal for a unique opportunity. It was kind of like the Tejano Famous B match last week. It was a match that was kind of like, okay, just short but sweet, get to the point, and just do whatever it is you want to do with it. And that's kind of what this Battle Royal was. It was just like, alright, just keep it short, get to the point, Mac wins, and his prize is that he gets a trios title shot against the Reptile Tribe next week, I believe they said. And his partners are going to be Dante, Fox, and Killshot, which is like, oh, okay, so the two guys that hate each other, who also beat each other half to death last week, yeah, they're going to be his trios partners. That's fair. So for setting that up, that was fine, and now we get a trios title match at Ultima Lucha, which was kind of that and a Mysterio match. It's weird that Mysterio's not involved in this in any way, at least not yet, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird that we didn't have a trios title match, but now we have one, so yay. Next up was Katrina versus Ivelisse, a match that has been several years in the making, going all the way back to Season 1. Katrina has cost Ivelisse her last two Ultima Lucha matches, and this was kind of the revenge. They set this match up on the first episode of Season 3, so we've waited a long time for this match. And in the interim, while Ivelisse was injured, Katrina has apparently stolen Ivelisse's boyfriend, Jeremiah Crane. So that adds a little bit more fuel to the fire. And we got this match, and I really wasn't sure what to expect with this. I know Ivelisse, I know Katrina does have wrestling training. She was in NXT, but she's been predominantly a manager, so I don't know. Whenever you put a manager in the ring, I expect typically a bunch of bells and whistles. If it's Bobby Heenan, I would expect some laughs and some comedy. Again, it depends on who it is, but in this case, I kind of expected them to just go all out crazy with the theatrics. Have, like, Katrina teleport all over the temple and all sorts of weird crap like that. They didn't do that. It would have been neat if they did. What they did do instead, they did a wild brawl through the crowd and around Dario's office, and Katrina hit Ivelisse with, like, 3 beer bottles and caused Ivelisse to bleed, and it was pretty violent and pretty crazy, and it was like, okay, this is what we're doing, alright. And it had a lot of intensity. You felt like the girls hated each other, and through it all, Ivelisse came back, won the match, and got her first Ultima Lucha win. Very good. That's just good, solid stuff. If you can make me believe that the two characters hate each other, and you're able to bring that hate, that typically makes up for any deficiencies there might be with the ring work. Goldberg-Lesnar this year's WrestleMania is a perfect example of that. And this is another, again, it's a match involving a manager. I wasn't sure exactly what to expect out of it, and it ended up being pretty entertaining and pretty good. Some people are complaining, I've already heard complaints, that it's like, oh, it's women, you shouldn't do over-the-top violence with the women, to which I say, why not? I mean, they want equality, right? That's what we're striving for. And with the recent push for women's wrestling to be, to prove they're just as good as the men, well, I say, if they're just as good as the men, let them do all the stuff the men can do. Why not? I mean, if they can do it, I mean, let them do it. Put Charlotte and Sasha in Hell in a Cell. Let them do it. I mean, that match didn't quite live up to expectations, but it was still, it's like, all right, put them in the main event. Give them a Hell in a Cell. Let them do the stuff that the men can do. And this was a perfect example of how it works kind of well. I was like, okay, that was a nice, intense brawl with a babyface that I liked. The babyface won. I was happy. And then I got pissed off in a good way. I got pissed off in that, I'm marking out and I'm involved into the story way. I'm invested in what I'm seeing. Where Jeremiah Crane came out after the match and attacked Ivelisse in her legs, where she had previously been injured. And I was like, you goddamn son of a bitch. Fuck you. And all this other stuff. So, if you can get me to mark out like that, that's pretty good. Pretty good work on your part. So, yeah. Again, this match came with lowered expectations and ended up being pretty good. So, I was happy with it. And then we got the main event. Holy God. Mask versus hair. Phoenix versus Marty the Moth Martinez, which if you're uninitiated in Lucha Underground and you haven't been watching this season, Marty the Moth has pretty much been stalking ring announcer Melissa Santos and getting creepier and creepier and creepier as the story is developed. She has expressed romantic interest in Phoenix because he is a lucky son of a bitch. And actually, they're adorable together as a couple. Actually, when he came out for his entrance in this match, he gave her a kiss, and she was all smiling and stuff. And typically, I'm not a lovey-dovey type of guy, but I look at those two, I'm like, you're just so adorable. I don't know. Maybe I really am just a big softie. I just hate it when it's done shittily, like in Twilight or stuff like that. Or an Arrow between Oliver and Felicity, or that type of nonsense. But I think they're adorable together. I was like, aw, that's cute. You're just cute. But anyway, so we get this match, mask versus hair, and okay, I feel like I've seen everything that there is to see in pro wrestling. But there's nothing you can do that would shock me. When Marty the Moth pulled out scissors and started picking at Phoenix's wound, which he already had, and started doing that made me a little queasy. And again, I'm going to give Lucha Underground credit. I think that's a good thing. It's make me feel things. I like to feel things from the art forms that I enjoy. It got an emotional reaction out of me, and when Melissa jumped up on the apron and started begging Marty not to do it, I was totally invested in what I was seeing. I was like, dear God, just save him, please! This is too vicious! And I'd seen things before, the fork with Abdullah the Butcher and Homicide, and the famous Dusty Rhodes Spike incident, but a spike and a fork always had kind of a comic booky element to it, to where you felt like, yeah, it's brutal and violent and gross, but it also feels like, okay, this can't happen in real life in a weird kind of way. I don't know, something about scissors that just made me feel unsettling. I just used a pair of scissors today, and it's just hard to think. It's wow, somebody could literally attack me with these if they, if it tickled their fancy. So it was just a very intense segment, and it really punctuated a very hot, intense, well-executed match, very violent. Phoenix, I made the comment on Twitter, Phoenix is possibly the best I can get color despite having a mask wrestler in the history of the business, because this is the third or fourth time I've seen him do it, and it looks great every time he does it. Terrific match. 2 weeks in a row we've had two really strong main events out of Ultima Lucha, and this is where breaking it up into different shows is a really good idea, because if you'd done the Hell of War and then do this match back to back, you probably would have lost some steam for the hair versus mask match. But I saw the Hell of War, a week has passed, I'm rejuvenated, and now I get this bit of awesomeness. So it's man, they're just killing it. They're just killing it, man. A really enjoyable episode. You get the satisfaction of Mariposa turned on Marty the Moth because Marty put her in the way of a Phoenix plancha in the early portions of the match. So when Marty ultimately lost, thanks to interference from Melissa Santos and all of that stuff, Mariposa, Phoenix, and Melissa Santos ganged up on Marty and just cuffed him to the railing and cut his hair, and we got that bit of satisfaction. We also got Melissa Santos getting up on the apron and yelling at Marty. It's like, come back here, don't be a pussy. Which, by the way, feisty Melissa Santos, kind of awesome and incredibly sexy. I'm just saying, that woman is great. I'm just saying, I really like her. I'm not gonna creep on her like Marty. I'm just saying, she's a very fine woman, and I sees what I like, and I likes what I sees. But yeah, very well done all around. Again, babyface goes over, and let's talk about Marty the Moth Martinez, who is probably one of the best overall performers in the business that nobody is talking about. When I think of the guys in the business that have a lot of hype, that are big stars, even outside of WWE, most of them deserve it. You look at guys like Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega and Kazuchika Okada and Hiroshi Tanahashi and Tetsuya Naito and the Young Bucks and Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi and all these other guys that have big reputations outside of the WWE. Nobody is talking about Marty the Moth Martinez, who I think is an outstanding character worker, and what he's done in Lucha Underground, he is basically what WWE wishes they could do with Bray Wyatt. And I think Bray Wyatt's failings are not his own. I think it's purely the booking just completely abusing him, and now I hear he's going to dress up like Sister Abigail. Because A, the Finn Balor feud needs to continue, and B, Bray Wyatt needs to dress up as something else, because why not? And I'm sure it'll be stupid whatever they do, because they have just killed Bray Wyatt with every decision they've made. Marty the Moth is the exact opposite, where he's a creepy character, but he feels threatening. The stuff he does feels vicious and nasty, and like he could legitimately harm somebody. Like when he pulls out that lunchbox and fucking scissors come out, you feel like this guy's crazy enough to stab Phoenix to death. And that's something that they don't have right now with Bray Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt looks like a goof half the time, because he gets humiliated all the time. So, I think Marty is outstanding. I think he's one of the best characters in Lucha Underground, and him and Phoenix totally killed it in this episode. I thought they did a stellar job, and perfectly nice capstone to the whole story, and I loved every second of it, and I thought it was great. So, Lucha Underground, Ultima Lucha Trace, Part 2, awesome, and we've got 2 more parts to go. I'm really excited. So, with that, what else did I want to talk about? While Lucha Underground was going on, apparently on tonight's NXT, which I haven't watched yet, I'll watch it later this week, William Regal has announced that NXT will be bringing back War Games. There's been a lot of talk lately of WWE bringing back old WCW concepts like Starrcade. Starrcade's already official, because they're that desperate that they have to pull from the well of something that they spent the better part of 16 years bashing and humiliating, and just beating the dead horse to death. But we're getting a lot of WCW concepts back. We're getting Starrcade, and we're also getting War Games as presumably is going to be the main event of the next NXT TakeOver. I have a lot of opinions on War Games, and I wanted to do a full analysis of whether or not WWE should bring back War Games. That was going to be my next video, but now they are bringing back War Games in NXT, but they're bringing it back, so they kind of beat me to the punch. But I'm going to do the video anyway, because I have a lot of interesting opinions on it, and there's a lot I want to say about War Games, so I will give you a more in-depth analysis of that in my next video. But moving right along from there, the Mae Young Classic. Finally got around to watching that. My overall thoughts, it was perfectly fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't stellar. It's not something that's going to get a lot of attention from me when I do like the end of the year awards, because my opinion always matters in these things. But it wasn't bad either. It was perfectly acceptable from start to finish. It kind of reminded me of the reaction I had to it. It kind of reminded me of when everybody told me that TNA India show, what was it called? Rinka King. Everybody told me Rinka King is awesome. You need to see Rinka King. And I watched it. I thought it was fine. It was perfectly serviceable. It wasn't bad, wasn't great. It was perfectly enjoyable wrestling. And that's what this was. It was just perfectly enjoyable wrestling with some unique talents. Most of the matches were solid. I think the only iffy match that I saw was Rachel Evans versus Marty Bell in the first round. But most of the rest of it was pretty solid. I took a liking to Piper Nivens. I thought she was kind of hot, to be perfectly honest. I got a thing for bigger girls. I was like, man, she's like, when it was her and Santana Garrett, I was like, man, it's both my types, big blondes and fit brunettes. It's like, man, I sees what I like and I likes what I sees. But but overall it was fun. I thought Toni Storm stood out definitely as a good character. Kairi Sane, I had already had it spoiled for me that she won the tournament, so that might have sucked some of the drama out of it for me, but I thought she came off well. I thought the finals came off well, had a big fight feel to it. So overall, it was a solid tournament. I don't know if it needed to be 8 episodes. They probably could have shortened that. Or however, was it 8 or 9? It was probably a little bit longer than it needed to be, but overall it was perfectly solid and it was perfectly fine. I wouldn't mind if some of those girls came up through NXT and were cycled into the main roster at some point. Like I said, I liked Piper Nivens, I liked Toni Storm, so those are some girls to look at and possibly give another opportunity to. So those are my thoughts on the Mae Young Classic. And I guess from there I can go into... Should I do Hell in a Cell or my top 10 matches? Let's do my top 10 matches because I care about that more. Save the stuff I care about the least for the end. Okay, I have the list pulled up here. So September, it was kind of a dry month. I didn't have a whole lot to work with, and I think me not watching Raw and SmackDown on the regular is part of the reason why. It doesn't, when you don't care and you don't watch, 5 hours of content a week, it reduces what matches you can choose for the top 10 of a month. But here's my list overall. Number 10, Punishment Martinez versus Jay White in a Las Vegas street fight from ROH Death Before Dishonor. Solid match, good stuff, good feud, nice payoff. Not a whole lot else to say other than that. It was just a good brawl. Number 9, Kairi Sane versus Shayna Baszler, the finals of the Mae Young Classic. Like I said, it had a big fight feel to it. Satisfying ending, overall solid work. I thought it was a good match. Number 8, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose versus Cesaro and Sheamus for the Raw Tag Titles from No Mercy 2017. Good match. Cesaro was a tough son of a bitch for getting his front teeth just jammed into his gums and, being able to work through that to make the match work. Good stuff, just good solid tag team action. Easily the best match at No Mercy. On a show that had 2 main events that I was kind of looking forward to that kind of under-delivered. It was nice to get this match at least. Number 7, the only match from Monday Night Raw that I watched in the entire month of September. From the September 4th episode, Big Show versus Braun Strowman in a steel cage match. These two work well together. You wouldn't expect 2 guys of similar size because here's the problem. When you get 2 cruiserweights, they flip-flop all over the place and it's harder for them to stand out. If you get 2 giants together, they don't bump for each other, so there's almost no action. So typically, that's why you kind of always want to mix it up and have different guys with different skills and different physical attributes in the ring together, because it typically creates a better match. But this is a case where it proves me wrong, where you put 2 big guys in there and they did really well with each other. Again, Big Show and Strowman have got some pretty good chemistry, and I think the Big Show-Strowman match, all their matches have been better than the match that Strowman had with Lesnar at the No Mercy pay-per-view, but them's the breaks. Number 6, the Young Bucks versus the Motor City Machine Guns for the ROH tag titles from ROH Death Before Dishonor. Good solid tag match, action-packed, and you got the satisfying conclusion of the Motor City Machine Guns winning the belt, so good stuff. Also, them attacking Daniels and Kaz, teaming up to attack Daniels and Kaz was pretty cool to see as well. Number 5, Rey Mysterio versus Matanza from the September 13th episode of Lucha Underground. Really good match with Matanza basically killing Rey Mysterio and removing him from Ultima Lucha by all appearances. Really good stuff, and it was pretty, even though Matanza's been a killer and has beaten almost everybody, it was still kind of shocking to see him just kind of destroy Rey Mysterio the way he did. So, pretty good match. I really enjoyed it. Another Lucha Underground match at number 4, Joey Ryan versus Cortez Castro in the 5-0 street fight for an Aztec medallion from the September 6th episode of Lucha Underground. Really good stuff, fun brawl, a lot of comedy in it as you would expect from Joey Ryan, and very enjoyable. And these two had a storyline going for a really long time with a lot of build-up, so it was nice to get a payoff to it that resulted in a match. Most of their build-up had been handled behind the scenes and in the cinematic segments that Lucha Underground does, so it was nice to see a payoff to it in this match, and I thought it was a very entertaining match. Number 3, Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the IWGP Intercontinental title from New Japan Destruction in Hiroshima. I did watch the New Japan Destruction shows. They were very lackluster, mainly because there were way too many goddamn tag matches on all 3 shows. And it's just kind of like what I said about Wrestle Kingdom 1. It was just kind of a clusterfuck. But this match, the main event of the Hiroshima, the main event of that show I thought was stellar. And Zack Sabre Jr., I really like his style. I really like how that guy is able to take the smallest wrestling holds and make them feel important and make them feel like they matter and make them feel like they hurt. I've heard people criticize Randy Orton because he uses too many headlocks. As if that's supposed to mean that headlocks are inherently boring. I disagree. I think as long as you work them into the story into a way that matters, and if you know how to work a headlock, it could be a very important part of a match. And I think Zack Sabre Jr. proves that every time he goes out there. He's always making the tiniest little details and whatever holds he locks on feel important and really makes the holds feel like they hurt. I mean, the first 20 minutes of this match was basically all mat wrestling. All on the mat, like putting holds on each other, and it was very good. And Sabre Jr., I think he's masterful at that type of stuff. And it also helps that Tanahashi has that arm injury, which added a lot to the match as well. Number 2, Jay Lethal versus Silas Young in a last man standing match from Death Before Dishonor. Yeah, I said it was the best match on this particular show. I thought it was a bit of a... I was glad to see Silas, A, have this performance, and B, get the win. I think it was a good star maker for him. I'm a big fan of his, and I've always liked Jay Lethal, so I thought they had the best build-up going into the show, and I thought they tore the house down. I thought it was great. Stellar match. But my number 1 match for the month of September has to be Killshot versus Dante Fox in the Hell of War match from Ultima Lucha Night 1. Absolutely incredible match. If you haven't seen my review of it, or if you have not watched the match, go watch the match. It's fucking insane. It's incredible. It's one of the best. For me personally, it's one of the top 5 matches of the year. I thought it was great. It was just stellar from start to finish. So, and with that, brand of the month is going to go to Lucha Underground, who is really coming on strong as they head into the end of season 3. And the way Ultima Lucha is going, I wouldn't be surprised if they won brand of the month at the end of October as well. So, that is that. So, still got some time. All right, I'm getting through this pretty quick. I'm impressed with myself. I didn't think I would do this. So, with that, let me go into Hell in a Cell 2017, a show that I know very little about and care very little about, but I'll preview it anyway. Okay, pre-show match. Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin versus the Hype Bros. Okay, I have not seen Shelton Benjamin since he returned. Does anybody know how he looks or if he's any good? I haven't seen... I saw him in New Japan and stuff before coming back to WWE, but I'm just curious if he's doing any well or doing any good in WWE since his return. From there, we have Bobby Roode versus Dolph Ziggler. Is Roode a face? Why is Roode a face? I don't get that. That's a weird decision. Oh, well. I'll pick Roode to win because he should. I mean, Ziggler's kind of damaged goods at this point. We also have Randy Orton versus Rusev. Blow me. Blow me. I don't care. Fucking blow me. Okay, moving on. For the United States title, we've got AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. Whatever. AJ retains. Or maybe AJ loses it, and I'll talk more about AJ when I get into the world title match. But anyway. Natalya versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's title. This could be good. I mean, they had an awesome match at the first TakeOver way back when. I don't know if they'll be able to recapture that, but it could be solid. Could be good. Might be the sleeper hit. If they're even able to recapture half the magic that they did from that one TakeOver many moons ago, I mean, that could be a show stealer right there. And then we've got a Hell in a Cell match for the SmackDown Tag Titles, the New Day versus the Usos. I'm fine with this. This is a different way to present Hell in a Cell. These two actually have a feud. They had the best match at Battleground, which was actually the show that broke me and got me to stop watching WWE on the regular. But, yeah, I think it's good. If they've been feuding all the way from Battleground all the way till now, I think, unless they've done the match 8,000 times, which I don't know if they have. So that's another benefit from not watching. I'm not sick of seeing these two teams work with each other. So, I mean, I still haven't seen their SummerSlam match. So, yeah, I think that will be the better of the 2 Hell in a Cell matches, especially since it's going first. I firmly, to this day, I still disagree with having more than 1 Hell in a Cell on a show, but what do I know? Seriously, what do I know? Moving on from there, we have Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the WWE title. Okay, can we make a case for Jinder Mahal being the worst WWE champion of all time? I mean, there's no intrigue to this guy. There's just none. None. And again, it's not his fault because he had no intrigue booked into him or built into him prior to winning the belt. They just gave him the belt because reasons. I'm going to pick Mahal to retain. I think he's going to retain because they're going to keep the belt on him forever because fuck you, that's why. But, look, WWE. We're getting Reigns versus Lesnar at WrestleMania. I've accepted that. But, could you throw us a bone? I'm just asking you to throw us a bone here. I don't feel like I'm asking too much here. Shinsuke wins the title. AJ wins the Royal Rumble, so you don't kill another Royal Rumble by having Reigns win. Okay? Because Reigns is going to get the title shot anyway. We know this. We already know this. If he doesn't win the Rumble, he's going to get it some other way. Have AJ win the Rumble, then we get Nakamura versus AJ for the WWE title at WrestleMania. It'll keep us happy, and you get to do your Reigns-Lesnar match that nobody wants. We cool? We good? Okay. I'm just saying. It's an idea. And then in a Hell in a Cell match, we have Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens. The only thing I have to say about this is, Shane, please don't kill yourself. They're saying it's a... Okay, on the wiki page I pulled up, it's saying it's a Falls Count Anywhere Hell in a Cell match. Aren't all Hell in a Cell matches Falls Count Anywhere? I mean, Triple H... See, that's weird. Like, Triple H beat Jericho on top of the cell when they had theirs in 2002. But then later that year, when Taker and Lesnar had theirs... And this is going to get into my whole thing about rope breaks shouldn't count and Falls Count Anywhere. But in the Lesnar-Taker Hell in a Cell, which I thought was a great match, but Lesnar got a rope break to get out of the last ride. And I was like, if it's Falls Count Anywhere, then rope break shouldn't count. Because the rope designates out of bounds. If it's Falls Count Anywhere, there is no out of bounds. So rope break shouldn't count for shit. That's just my take. I don't know. What do you think? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But, yeah, so that's pretty much all I have now. Got a few videos lined up. I've got my next Wrestle Kingdom reviews. Those will be up within the next couple of weeks. I think 3 and 4 are going to be vastly superior shows to 1 and 2, so I'm looking forward to actually watching them and getting it done. Like I said, I've also got a War Games video coming out, so be on the lookout for that. And, yeah, that's about it for now. So I think I've done enough rambling. I've reviewed and previewed enough things. I think you all are sick of seeing me now, correct? Okay, we're good. So, that is all I have for now. You all enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you all later.